see if I can hold a camera like this. Hey YouTubers, I just want to share my experience with daisy chaining air compressors together. Seen obviously plenty of other people's examples on YouTube and thought I'd share mine, so here we go. I've had this tool shop 20 gallon 2.5 horse for quite a few years. I got from Menards. Just the problem is sometimes that motor just decides it's just going to stop. It's going to take a long extended break. And sometimes it'd be a day, sometimes a two, sometimes a week. Finally, this last time it was a couple months, it just would not kick back on. So it's like, okay, time to upgrade. Figured maybe it's ran its course. Fast forward a little bit, all of a sudden now she works again. So hopefully it's a good backup if for some reason this one would fail. But either way, for the main running unit, this is my first oil lubed compressor, the McGraw 20 gallon from Harbor Freight, 135 psi. So far so good. What I ended up doing off on the auxiliary tank, still had the quick connect. I had to replace this one, had a small leak, so why not change it with a better one. But you can get a hose lead or auxiliary hose, or sometimes they call it a whip hose, from pretty much anywhere. But if you're already at Harbor Freight, you might as well. This is where I got this one. So trying to leave the pressure release valve alone. There's only really two connections. Obviously you could do a splitter on this side if you wanted to try to do something, but I figured this is what was going to work. Put that back together. So off the Harbor Freight, your or I should say the McGraw, your pressure release valve is still at least left alone. The quick connect on this side, and I'll show you, this is the plug that I took out of there. So what I ended up doing was buying the valve also, so I can at least shut this off. If I want to disconnect here, obviously from this, air won't come out. But if you do anything, if you disconnect it here, there's no valve to shut the air from coming out of this tank. So now there is. So buy yourself, obviously take the plug out, buy yourself a valve, or a valve. The whip hose, 3-footer, was more than enough to connect to now what is my auxiliary tank or backup rescue tank, I guess, however you want to look at it. And like I said, this is leading down into my garage. This is up actually in my garage attic. I can't remember if I originally came up with this idea or if I saw it from somewhere else, but to save floor space, it's hefty to get this up here, but to save on floor space in my single stall garage, why not put it up here? I got plenty of space up here. It's easy access if I need to get to it. Obviously, I know I'm bypassing the rules about shutting it off daily and draining the air tank, but honestly, I don't know anyone that really does that anyways. And I'm sure if you do, you'll let me know in any comments. And guess what? I don't care. So hopefully you got the gist of this. Pretty easy as far as splitting it off that way. I want to go down to my garage and show you what I did here, but I actually just ran a airline from up in my attic. It's running down there, and I'll show you where it goes to in a second. So that's where the air hose comes down. Sorry, continue. Technically the tanks are about there, right in the middle. So the air hose is coming along the floor. Sorry, keep pausing, get a bunch of interruptions. I poked a hole in the ceiling. Sorry if there's a couple of jumps here. Coming through the ceiling, coming down my garage wall. And this is where I have another shutoff and another shutoff valve to shut it off completely down here, which I do daily. And then also a regulator and a gauge to be able to adjust it from down here so you don't have to crawl up and do the regulator if you need to change it that way. And then running into actually kind of a splitter down here, because I actually have it running into my Flexzilla hose reel, but I also have a hose running up to my workbench up there. So if I want to run it out the back door that way, if I want to run a hose that way, or if I'm want to use it compressed air up on the bench, I have a line up there without running my reel here. Seems like a pretty easy setup. I didn't hard pipe it like some do, as far as you can do it that way. I just pretty much used the rubber or vinyl or whatever hose, and so far so good. It's worked pretty good. So any questions or concerns, post them below and I'll try to follow up and answer, but otherwise hopefully you got the gist of it and gives you a good idea.